Hey everyone, man, the Bills owner, Terry Pagula, really let it fly and basically threw the coaching staff and GM Brandon B. Saint straight into the fire over the decision to draft Keon Coleman. And the crazy part is, he kind of said that Beeson didn't even want the guy, but went along with it because of pressure from the coaching staff, which means the finger pointing has already started. And here's the wildest part. He says Bien is still in his job because he wasn't the one who wanted to draft Keon. So you're like, wait, what? The guy who had success with the team gets fired because of one game? And the other guy who also made mistakes stays. Let's watch this clip together because there's a ton of backstage drama here. All right, let's get started.
Can I interrupt? I'll address the Keon situation. The coaching staff pushed to draft Keon. I'm not saying Brandon wouldn't have drafted him, but he wasn't his next choice. That was Brandon being a team player and taking advice of his coaching staff, who felt strongly about the player. And, he's taken, for some reason, heat over it and not saying a word about it. But I'm here to tell you the true story.
Man, look at this. Pagula is basically saying the GM is only safe because drafting Keon Coleman wasn't his idea. Imagine being Keon hearing this. You get drafted and then everyone starts using your name as an excuse.
So that was Terry Pagula, the owner of the Buffalo Bills, essentially saying that is why Brandon Beane's job is safe right now, because he didn't decide to draft Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman went 33rd overall to the Bills. He's one of the top picks of the second round of the draft, the first pick of the second round of the draft. Everyone's losing their mind over this on social media, rightfully so. So now the owner of the Bills has said the decision to fire McDermott was based pretty much on the Broncos game. He's saying Brandon Beane keeps his job because of Keon Coleman, and he's reacting to the emotions in the locker room after the loss on Saturday. Let's react to this sound now about Keon Coleman. Saturday, go ahead.
Oh, it just gets worse. It gets worse. Like, if you're Keon Coleman, what are you thinking, right? Like they've it's time. Hey, whoever your agent is, start calling up because this is.
Get him up out of there.
Yeah, you've already, it's not.
Check this out. So they're saying that if Keon had been a monster from day one, Bien would be running to take the credit. Now that it didn't work out, he dumps the blame on the coaching staff. What a mess, man.
His fault. Let me tell you, if Keon Coleman would have been a baller, Brandon Beane would have taken full credit. It would not get the buck would not have gotten paid. This is so silly. Brandon Beane has drafted 2 Pro Bowlers since Josh Allen, that being Dawkins and James Cook. Like, when you think about, give me a break. Like. If you just say, I like Brandon Beane better, I sided with him, decided he's going to run my organization, that's the decision I make. Don't go through every decision, because I'm sure if that one was a bad one by the coaching staff also had some good ones that helped their team win and be the most winning franchise in the regular season over the last 8 years. This is why I've honestly believe general managers and head coaches go together. Like, they got to be locked, because agendas like this is silliness. This will tear up a locker room faster than anything, because now you're hearing all the inner workings of the front office part of football it's the business of ball, not real football. Players don't like it. They don't want to hear it. Fans don't like it. They don't want to hear it. It's bad deal by the owner. Bad deal.
I agree with you, Jeff, but it's not just him. We're going to put Beane out there, too.
Yeah.
Clearly you've been engaging in CYA, covering your own ass. That's what he was doing. Because let me tell you something right now. You know what? You in the owner's ear talking about, well, this was a decision, and, we're just going to roll with that. We're going to side with that, et cetera, et cetera. Not to say that McDermott didn't speak to the owner himself, but I'm just saying, to see what transpired, I want to remind everybody what happened. McDermott, who's taken the team to the playoffs the last 7 years in 2 AFC championship games and had the best record in football over 6 seasons, okay, at 73-27, 73% of his games, that's what he won, was fired. And the owner is saying that Saturday's loss is what did it. Well, how come the previous Saturday's win against Jacksonville didn't do it? You went into Jacksonville on the road against the number 3 seed and took them out. You went up against the number 1 seed and pushed them to overtime. That's what you did. You got a quarterback who was crying after the game saying he got to play better. He's got to protect the ball because he turned the ball over 4 times. Okay? You got a defense that hasn't been that impressive all year long, even though they've had some spots where they were pretty good. There's a lot of stuff that you could point to Bean about. And the reason why this smells, if the coach is gone and the owner said, hey, I wanted a berth to the Super Bowl, I told him at the beginning of the season, this is it. This is your last chance now. This is what it's all about. And I told him that. And damn it, it didn't happen. So that's the decision I made. Fine. Nobody can dispute that. But to say it's based on one game for 8-9 years to be usurped by one game, and then on that same exact day, the general manager, who's every bit as much of a culprit as McDermott, gets promoted. Promoted.
Look at this nonsense. McDermott gets fired after years of strong results, and Bien gets promoted. Like, what kind of logic is that? If one goes down, the other should go down too, right?
Brutal.
That smells. That smells. And so if you're a head coach out there now, here's where Bean has an advantage. He never hired McDermott. He came after. That helps him because now he's saying, I want my own guy. And if you bring in your own guy, the likelihood, Jeff, is that they are going to be attached at the hip because that is his own guy. It wasn't like he hired McDermott. You know, he came in and inherited him. And now you get to go out there and hire your own guy. But Bean is getting away with some stuff here, his damn self. And now he doesn't get to, because whoever he picks, he's definitely married to this pick as his next head coach.
Bottom line is that McDermott did not deserve to be fired, and they fired him. That's the bottom line.
Right.
And if you're going to fire him, the GM's got to get the hell out of there too.
Right.
And I'm sure McDermott loved a lot of guys in the draft room that he didn't draft,
right,
and he made a mistake.
Right.
So to pinpoint, Bean made a mistake. So now to pinpoint the one guy that McDermott liked,
right,
and then somehow Bean washes his hands when he's the general manager is absolutely absurd.
Absolutely.
And listen, Shaheed was available from the Saints. Water was available. I saw Shaheed running back punts and kickoffs, making big plays against the Rams.
Myers.
Right when he got there.
Kobe Myers is another one.
Yeah.
He did not. And Cooks was a decent two-way guy, but I mean, still, generally speaking, that team was not improved in the course of this year, and everybody knew they had some weaknesses. And again, when McDermott goes to the owner and the GM about 5-6 weeks ago and says, "Listen, I don't think we got a Super Bowl roster," that must have bothered him. And you know what? He was right. Because their defense isn't good enough.
Nope.
They don't have enough weapons.
Nope.
And they didn't win the division. And they lost in the second round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So McDermott was right when he said to them a few weeks ago.
Right.
And if he goes, Bean should go.
Yeah.
And he should have gone anyway. And then Bean would have stayed too.
Yeah.
So
I just want him. I want him attached at the hip. I'm with you.
And one other thing. How the Sabres done lately? Pagula owns them too. They've been.
There it is. You can bet the new stadium has something to do with this too. They want to start a new era with a fresh face, but they're kicking out the people who actually built the team to do it. That's so unfair to McDermott. Honestly.
A laughing stock in the NHL. They've been a disgrace. They've made the playoffs in millions of years, and he owns them.
Yeah.
And maybe this has also something to do with the new stadium, which opens up next year. He wants to start off with a clean face, fresh face, blah, 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 dee-dee-dee-dee. But you can't bring Dable in if that's the idea. When he was just fired by the Giants middle of the year, blowing leads left and right. You can't bring
elevate Joe Brady.
Yeah.
You can elevate Joe Brady.
That you can do.
That's what you
can do. Dable, you can't. Brady, you can't.
What's wild is after that Broncos game, we're not all sitting around being like, poor clock management, bad play calling, like everything we would point to the coach for. Instead, we're over here talking about Keon Coleman and devastation in the locker room, Josh Allen mistakes. Like the whole thing is so confusing.
And think about how crazy this is, because we just talked about Harbaugh. And again, what you know, the Giants celebrating this, and the guy has the most fourth quarter, comeback losses in a career. And that's the reason people get fired, right? You don't get fired for winning. And right and you said it best. He didn't deserve to get fired. Like and if he did, everybody deserves to be fired. Because we got to figure this out. Because it's either Super Bowl or bust. But you busted because you didn't have the roster. And I hated the conversation that we all had about this is Josh Allen's best chance to win the Super Bowl because everybody else's team is injured, right? Lamar didn't play and they weren't good enough. Mahomes gets hurt. Burrow gets hurt halfway through the year. And now it's Josh Allen. No, your team wins in the NFL. Look at all the defenses that are taking their teams to championships. championships. It's not about one guy. And we are so keyed into one guy, and they did not have the roster to compete. They outperformed. I didn't think they'd even stand a chance against the Broncos. They played a heck of a game, bro. And to your point, like I've given Josh Allen criticism because of how he played. It's literally an interception we got. I mean, it's an iffy interception. I think it's an interception you don't. But we got enough plays. They push him to overtime, and you lose your job.
That game was such on the margin.
Exactly.
That it's hard to put there. It's hard to put.
You don't say the coach lost.
All right, go ahead, S.A. Last word. Go ahead.
And not only that, we're living in a time this particular week where we're raving about a coach in John Harbaugh who hasn't achieved as much as McDermott achieved in McDermott's 8-9 years in Buffalo.
Right.
John Harbaugh's won 3 playoff games. You got New York City raving about him like he's the second coming. Mm-hmm. You got McDermott, who won 8 playoff games in the same span, all right, and went to more championship games. Yeah. 2 AFC championship games to John Harbaugh's 1 in that span. And this man is out. And then we've got an owner talking about it's based on 1 game. You thought the owner is Steve Bisciotti in Baltimore, who was asked a question. Hey, if Loop had hit that field goal to win the game in the regular season finale against Pittsburgh, would that have changed your decision? He said, yeah, by about a week.
Yeah.
In other words, we made this decision. It's a macro perspective. We're looking at the team. Right. We're looking at his ingratiating himself with the players. We're looking at a voice. We're taking all of those things into consideration, and
Man, this video really shows how political NFL front offices are way more than most people realize. Keon Coleman turned into the scapegoat. McDermott got pushed aside despite solid seasons. And Bean walked away as the innocent one in the story. It honestly feels like a TV script. What's most frustrating is seeing decisions this big being made based on a single game. Like losing to the Broncos suddenly becomes the excuse to fire a coach who took the team to 2 AFC championship games. Meanwhile, the GM who missed on multiple drafts is still standing strong. My take, this was a straight-up injustice to McDermott, and if they were going to make a change, they should have cleaned house. Now we'll see who BN picks as the next head coach, because this time, the responsibility is all on him. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment. Do you think Keon Coleman was treated unfairly in all of this?